All right, welcome you guys. Hello, my name is Mark Puente. I'm with MP Marketing, also known as Essential Brows, with my beautiful wife, who is the owner and the artistry of Essential Brows, Tierra Puente. And I'm here with
Dominique Horton. I am the owner of Business Redeemed.
Awesome. So welcome to Testimony Tuesday, you guys. This is going to be an amazing podcast where we're going to be talking about essentially our manifestation with Christ, or our faith, our walk with Christ, if you want to say that. We're going to go ahead and start with the story from...
All right, so my name is Dominique Horton. I'm the owner of Business Redeemed, and my story started when God had put it on my heart to basically open up this shop in Park Forest, Illinois. The kids call it the Pink House, but it was not always the Pink House. It was a small 400 square foot room, and it was hideous. It was really, really bad, right? And it was during the pandemic when they had that shutdown, and my husband came and he picked out the paint, and we were locked down and we were locked at home, and he started painting this room. And God was speaking to me while I was at home and my husband was here. And God was basically like, women are going to come in this room and be inspired. Let your husband do it, right? So I let my husband come. And after those 2 weeks of being locked down, we came in and I'm like, oh my gosh, my shop, the Divine Boutique is what I called it. And my 4-year-old walked in. She's like, my pink house, right? So God was like, people are going to come in, they're going to get inspired. And I'm like, it's a pink room. What do you mean by that, Lord? And first thing I know, I had my first customer, and she walked in the room and she said, this room just touched me. You don't even know what happened when I got into this room. And when she got into the room, she was like, now I'm going to start looking at property. I want to start, looking and see where I can start building my business. Well, little did I know that would be the first of many women that would come into this room and be inspired. And it started turning into women coming in the room and like, hey, how did you start your business? How did you get this going? And it turned into what is now Business Redeemed, which is coaching for Christian women in business.
Wow.
So with that, we started moving, and I started having 8-week classes, 8-week sessions. And with these 8-week sessions, I would always host a graduation. But God would tell me, don't just call it a graduation. This is a business expo. So I would have these business expos where women would come and they would put up their businesses and they would show them off, right? So the last one I've hosted, I want to say about 4 now. The last one happened December 9th, 2021. It was a 4-day event, and God said, don't call that one a business expo. Call this one a business conference. So I said, okay, I can call it a business conference. And with that, I'm going to back up a little bit. With that, God had put it on my heart. He was like, ask your father, what is his his house. I wipe my face. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to phrase it that way. So I was like, I'm not going to phrase it that way. I'm going to go in the house and I'm just going to say, hey, Dad, what do you want to see me do? If, whatever. So I walked in and I sat down, and it was in the middle of the pandemic. And he basically was like, I want to see you host a conference for 3,000 women. And I was like, what? I said, well, Dad, why don't you just get on my website, just check out what I've done. He said, I'm not looking at anything that you have done until you're hosting a conference for 3,000 women. And I thought he was crazy because, one, my dad didn't leave the house. He was so terrified of the pandemic, he didn't let people in his house. It was a shock that he even let me in, okay? So for him to say that, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And we slowly started planning this conference. And it was like, as we were planning this conference together, God was also whispering too, like, okay, you know what? Not 3,000, do 333 women. So I started planning this conference for 333 women. But then I started looking at my bank account. And when I realized how much was in there, I'm like, I can't host a conference for 333 women. And then on top of all of that, God said this will be a free conference. And I'll just start thinking about 4 days, food, hotel stays, makeup, just everything that comes along with the conference. It did not seem possible. So right. I just kept building. I kept planning. And then at one point I did get discouraged. And I just remember going to the Girl NYK. So I was at the Girl NYKB retreat. And a lot of people like to call me coach. Now, mind you, I'm at this retreat and I don't even have money here, right? So I had lucked up on a spot. I'm not going to say I looked up. God had blessed me with a spot. It was like he was saving a spot for me. Somebody couldn't show up, and I ended up getting their entire package, free clothes, free tote, everything that was coming with the deal. So
wait, back 1 second. You said you got a free package?
Yeah, so Girl NYKB was having a retreat, and I couldn't afford to go. So I said, okay, Lord, well, if I can't go, I can't go. So I ended up going to the retreat. So they were like, hey, somebody couldn't make it. And I got their entire thing for free.
Wow.
I got their hotel room, their VIP package with the tote, the shirt, the pen, the notebook, the water, everything that came with it.
That's insane.
For, I think it was 3 days at the retreat. So everybody is looking at me, right? Because I'm coach. Nobody knows that I don't have any money. So when I go into this retreat, they're asking me after it's done. They come in, everybody comes in my hotel room. Hey, coach, what's next? What's next? What are we doing next? And I'm hearing them. I'm knowing what I'm planning with my Father. I'm knowing what I'm hearing from God. But I don't want to tell them that I'm hosting a conference, because if I tell my clients that I'm hosting a conference, they're going to be looking for it. So I didn't really say anything. And after they kept pressuring me, I said, we're doing a conference. And they took it and they ran. Okay, where is the event? What do you need us to do? What do you need us, how do you want us to show up? So when I left there, I just started praying. I said, God, lead my car. And he took me to the Tinley Park Convention Center. And I went in with my boldness and my authority, because at the end of the day, I don't care how much money is in my account. I always remember that I'm a kingdom's kid and God owns everything. So I just got to walk up and show up. So I go to the Tinley Park Convention Center and I say, yes, I'm thinking about renting out this space. How much does it cost? She said $20,000 per room. I said, okay, thank you. Can I schedule a viewing? So I got all the information and I said, okay, God, you told me to do it. You're going to show up. Well, to my surprise, it wasn't the Tinley Park Convention Center yet. He was showing me what all I needed. I needed 4 different rooms. I needed to see that so that I could start creating the space, so that I could know I need a room for breakout sessions, a room for photos, a room for speakers. I had to basically go there and get the plan, right? So now I'm knowing, okay, I can't just have a conference with 333 women. I have to start off small. Now, at this time, my business expos would only reach up to 75, maybe 100 people. One, because we were in a pandemic. So I would get larger spaces, and then I would make sure that we would have enough space, to social distance.
Correct.
So I'm only at 100. And I'm only at 100 people at that time. So I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. How can I plan this? So what I would start doing, I would host all of these meetings with my clients every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So every Wednesday at 6, we would come and I would say, okay, how do you guys want to do this? I would let them know, hey, this is my 2 fish and my 5 loaves. We got to work this out and feed the multitude, because at this point, I'm letting them know I don't have any money. Okay. So now, fast forward, God had told me, he said, this will be free. And he told me every time that I would have that meeting on Wednesday to go tell the people to go get more people to help us build this out. So every Wednesday I would say, hey, you guys know who needs to be here. Go get them and bring them back to our meeting. Wow. So now I'm starting to learn how to basically talk to more and more women, because every time when we would show up on this Zoom call, there would be more women. Now at this time, my father starts to get sick. At first, when I was talking to him, he wasn't sick. Now he's starting to get sick, and now he goes into the hospital. So now I'm knowing what God said. I'm working this thing out with my dad, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm still planning this conference. So I'm literally sitting in the hospital room with my dad, and he's telling me, and make sure that you tell every woman that they're a queen, and make sure that you're related to the chessboard, and let them know, stop following the queens that's behind you, and know that the pawns on the board can be queens too if they would only get to the other side of the board. And he would say, stop trying to just play the game and make sure that you study. He would give me all these things that he wanted these women to know at the conference. So I'm sitting in the hospital and everything is cool. Next thing I know, I'm still hosting these meetings on Wednesday, and I would get phone calls. Hey, Dominique, get to the hospital right now. It's emergency. What are you doing? And one thing that I know about God, if he has me on assignment with something, he's going to hold everything off, right? He's going to make it work together, and it's all going to come back. So I'm hearing all this, I call it the win. because when Peter was on the boat, he heard the wind, and that's what made him fall. So I'm hearing all this wind, and I'm like, okay, I know I got to get to the hospital, but I have to be at this meeting every Wednesday. So I'm on the meeting with them, and then I would leave and get down to the hospital and, do whatever they needed me to do there. So it was very crazy. I don't want anybody to think planning a conference was easy. It was very crazy. It was a lot going on as I was planning. So on my father went into the hospital August 4th. August 8th, he kept rapping about his heart and how it beats like a 808. Because he's a DJ, so, the 808, the speaker. So August 9th comes, and he has a heart attack. And I said, his heart didn't stop. His heart beats like a 808. He had just told me that the day before. So he has his heart attack. And on August 12th, God starts speaking to me in the room. So he goes into this heart attack, and now he's in this medically induced coma. So I'm in there. I don't cry. I consider myself to be a thug. Just blissfully calls it totally humbled under God. So now I'm in the hospital room, and I am crying. My daddy didn't had a heart attack. What is going on, Lord? And God tells me to sit down and start writing this book. And a lot of times God will tell us to do something, but sometimes it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to sit here. I want to talk to my daddy. I want to play music. I want to hold his hand. You want me to write a book? And right. God started talking to me. He said, this will be one of your best sellers. He told me what the cover would look like. He told me what to name it. And he told me exactly what to write in it. So now I'm in the hospital room with my dad, and I'm planning a conference and writing a book. So the conference is scheduled for December 9th. So that's 2-3 months later, right? So I'm planning all of this, and basically my dad ends up coming out of his coma on December 14th, if I'm sorry, not December, on August 14th, if I'm not mistaken. So now it was like he woke up and nothing happened. Like now he's back to planning this conference, okay? And he's making sure that
he picked up where
he left off. And one of the things that he kept saying was Queen. So I ended up naming the conference the Hey Queen Business Redeemed Conference. And because he kept talking about queens, it made me want to start reading. Okay, what is a queen? What is a queen in the kingdom of heaven? What is a queen in the Bible? I wanted to look at the different levels of what queens were. So we started creating the Hey Queen Business Redeemed Conference. Well, to my surprise, August 28th, my dad passed. And my dad never lies to me. So when he told me that he was going to be at this conference with 3,000 women, I just knew that he was going to be there. I just knew he was going to show up because my dad, he just, he always tells the truth. But it was a plot twist because it was like, wow, you're not coming to this conference. And now you got me out here on this boat planning this conference. And you're no longer here to even tell me what to say, to fund it, to do anything. Like, I felt alone, but I felt that I had to keep going because God just kept telling me. My dad passed August 28th, 8/28. So I just kept hearing one of my dad's favorite scriptures, Romans 8:28. All things work together. And I kept hearing God say, all things work together, even this. And although it hurt, even this is working together for your good. So now, it was almost like a release, right? Because now I'm an entrepreneur. One thing that I did not mention is God had told me not to host any workshops, which is where I get most of my money from, those 8-week workshops. So now I'm going through this time with no money. I'm at the hospital. I am grateful that I did not do workshops because I would have not been able to spread out my attention evenly between my dad and that. And right. Then going to the hospital every day, that's parking. That's like $26 a day. I'm not really working. So it was a lot. So it was a relief for me. One, because my dad was in so much pain. So I felt better knowing like, man, he's not suffering anymore. And it gave me time to just kind of go back and like, hey, I do have 3 kids at home. Hey, I do have a business. Hey, I do have a husband. It kind of gave me a release. Right. So I'm still showing up to these meetings every Wednesday with these women, and these women are growing. And now we're getting closer and closer to the conference. And I'm just knowing that God is going to show up because God didn't set me out here to plan this conference. And now my dad is gone. Now I don't have any money and I'm still planning this conference. And then on top of all of that, he's like, get everything that you want. So I know that God is just going to give me whatever I need, right? Okay,
Right.
He's going to send money for the photographer, for the makeup artist, for the videographer, for the church, okay? And to my surprise, we get to December 8th. And nothing has showed up. I have built this big, beautiful conference. I have makeup
Pressure's
artists. Yes. Makeup artists, photographers, videographers. I have everybody here. And there's no money. So I said, okay. And people are like, well, you know, God is not a man that he shall lie. You have to keep your faith. He's going to show up. He's not going to just have you out there, Dominique. And I'm like, I know that. But I'm out here, y'all. So December 8th, I did lose my faith a little bit, and I called the pastor. Hey, look, I know what we talked about, but I don't really have the money. He said, oh, it's okay. Just pay it tomorrow. I said, okay. You gave me another day. I can pay it tomorrow. So now I'm looking at my account. I still have less than $1. Like,
No.
I don't even have $1 in my account, right? And my bills are way over. I know one of them alone was almost $5,000. Okay. So now I'm planning this conference, no money. People are now flying into Chicago. People have brought winter coats and boots. People flew in from Florida, California, Virginia, just some everywhere to come to this conference. And I'm like, well, they can't cancel their flights because they're not getting their money back. I have to keep going, and I have to just trust God that it's going to work out. So we get there December 9th, and I'm basically like, okay, God, you got to move. And I look at my account, and I still don't even have $1. I mean, it's bad, okay? So now we asked the singer to fly in all the way from Washington, D.C. And we have a lady coming to speak, Dr. Karen Lomax, coming to speak and teach women how to write books. And they have both came, and we have to pick them up from the airport. So now I'm getting ready, and when I tell you everything that could go wrong, did go wrong.
So wait, you have you have a singer,
Yes.
right? An artist
Arthur.
or an author,
Well, a publisher.
A publisher.
Caros Publishing.
a makeup artist.
Yes.
Everything is wow. That's okay. Go ahead. I'm just trying to grasp everything because I'm like, okay, she named off a lot of people.
Yes.
that are
A
gonna
lot
be
of people
here.
that need to get paid.
Yeah, and a lot of people need to get paid. All right, go ahead.
So everybody comes, and I'm not telling them that I don't have any money because I'm just knowing that God is about to work it out. I've seen him do it one too many times for him not to do it for me, right? So now it's the morning of the conference. And on top of all of that, I just believe in asking everybody. So if you ask 100 people, 10 people are going to say yes. So I reached out to Mayel, Cantu, Lusters, Zarlingos, just asking, hey, I'm having this conference. Who wants to, help sponsor? So one of the people that had volunteered was Lusters, Pink Lotion. So we had special gifts that I was supposed to go pick from them. Zarlingos had Italian ice from us. So one thing that I also forgot to mention is that we had 2 car accidents after my dad passed. So
Wow.
my car and my husband's car. My husband's car is totaled. My car just, we can still ride it, but it was hit. Right. So we're in one car going back and forth. I'm like, okay, so this is the day of the conference. Let me go pick up my husband. Let me come back and let me go get the stuff from Luster's. Let me go get the singer. Let me go do hair. Let me go get dressed. Let me go do everything. And it turns out that my mom decided that she no longer wanted to be on our family plan anymore. So she says, hey, I'm 5 minutes away from your house. I'm coming to take your phone. I said, what? At that moment, I had been through everything. I hadn't cried. Like, I was just really toughing it out. That moment, I broke. I started crying. I'm like, I can't do this. This is not for me. And I called my best friend, and I called Tavina, and I was like, hey, look. And I'm crying. She can't even hear me. I'm crying so hard. My phone is gone. How do you host a conference without a phone? And she's like, what are you crying for? How did they make it 20 years ago? If you don't we have a conference that starts in less than 3 hours. What are you doing? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to come. Next thing I know, she's at my door trying to drag me out the house. It was bad. My other best friend went to go get the singer from the airport. I'm like, okay, conference is starting. It's all going to work out. So now the conference has started. I no longer have a phone. And I get there, and I'm like, we have to pay for we have to pay for 3 hotel rooms. The 3 hotel rooms cost about $1,200. Now, mind you, I opened my account. There's nothing in it. I said, husband, how much money do you have? He said, $9. I said, okay.
Wow.
I said, sometimes they will let you go and swipe your card and we think about it and pray about it later. Go see if that'll happen. Like, go to the hotel, go swipe the card and see, because mind you, the singer is here. She doesn't have a place to stay. So we need something to break now, right? So he does. I love my husband so much. He's so supportive. He goes all the way to the hotel. He swipes his card. I said, how did it go? He said, it didn't. I said, oh, what are we going to do? So I end up going and I'm like, Tavina, what now? Like, this is bad. She said, okay, I think you had too much faith on this one. It was bad. She was like, I think you had too much faith on this one. So I said, okay. She's like, okay, well, let's start asking people. Maybe we could take up a collection plate. And I hear God say, ask my best friend. So I'm like, okay. And now, mind you, I have been through some stuff this year. In my book, The Story of Tychicus Miguel, we talk about the 7 cent, like at least now I'm up to 16. So I've had a very rough year. I haven't asked my best friend for anything, right? Because I just know, like, I don't like depending on people. So I said, best friend, remember that singer that you picked up from the airport? She doesn't have a room. She said, I know. I said, we have to pay for it. She said, I know. She said, you could use my credit card. When I tell you, wow. I fainted. I didn't necessarily faint, but it was this gravitational pull pulling me all the way down to the gym room floor, and I could not get up. I was like, you're gonna what? Why was that so easy? How did you? She's like, I already knew. I said, oh, okay. So now we have secured the hotel rooms for our guest speakers, right? So now on top of that, my daughter, my 5-year-old, has been so excited about this, the conference, because now she gets to stay at a hotel room. She's been so excited. So I tell my best friend, hey, look, just get the 2. We're not going to worry about me. So mind you, my mom is being really mean to me. I'm like, I don't know how. And my daughter's in the back and she's just hassling, Mommy, I want to go to the hotel. So now we're leaving the first day of the conference. It was a success. We leaving the first day and we're going to the hotel to go check in the singer. And basically, we get there and my best friend gets out of her car. She said, yeah, I already checked her in. I said, okay. So she was like, this is for the other speaker. And she said, this is for you. Wow. I never cried so hard in my life. I had just asked my mom, hey, can you can you pay for our hotel? Can you help us out in any way? And she's like, no, you got to figure that out. So for my best friend to be holding my hotel key room for 4 nights at this very expensive hotel, I just start crying. I think on the first day of the conference, I cried so much it didn't make any sense. So now I have my hotel room. Everything is cool. So now the conference is going, and only thing that I can think of is these women are here and I haven't paid the church. So how are we going to basically like get into this space, right? So I'm like, oh man, are they going to open the doors for us the next day? I don't have a phone for the pastor to even call me and tell me, hey, Dominique, you didn't pay today. So we go the next day and they're like, see, you were granted time. I'm like, okay, we gonna make shirts. We gonna do some of everything, right? So I'm in my hotel room. I am not sleeping at this point because I have to make all of this stuff. So I'm like, okay, we gonna make shirts. We gonna sell this. We gonna sell that. I'm just trying to make it work. And it was like every dime that I got, I lost. It was like every time I got some money, something would happen that it would just be gone. It was like a whitewash every time, holes in the pocket. Wow. So now I still have these bills and I'm not telling anybody. I'm just walking around like life is cool. So Saturday comes and I finally sit down on the stage after we greet everybody after they're there, and I basically tell them, guys, I did this whole thing with 16 cents. This was the hardest thing I've ever done, and I'm just grateful for the people around me that have pushed me and to just let me know that, hey, you can do this. Don't listen to the wind. And I literally had a one-on-one with the people that were there. And that's there amazing. Was not a dry eye in the room. Everybody was like, you did what? Like, and I mean, you just thought, she has kids. She has family. She did this for us. And now, mind you, too, the women that are there, their lives are being changed. They're like, we're not going back home the way that we came. Like, it's some things happening. I seen Holy Spirit show up in a way like never before. Yeah. When I tell you, like, we were supposed to have 333 women. There was not. It was probably 33 women in that building because people had got attacked so much, and it was like everything that could go wrong, even with the people that were flying in, it was going wrong, which just made me know, like, this is an act of God. We had 3 people I'll never forget that came. One had drove all the way here from Minnesota with no hotel room. She said, I know God called me here, so when I get there, I will have a hotel room. I walked up to her and I said, did you secure your hotel? Because I was going to offer her mine. I didn't think I had one. She's like, oh, yeah, I got it. I'm like, oh, from the hotel that was sold out. Yeah, I'm in there. Okay. Wow. Another woman, she had drove all the way from Indianapolis with nothing, depending on God for gas, and she made it. So the people that had even came, it was like a testimony. So on Saturday, I had knew that God had told me, he was like, every knee in this place will bow. I said, okay, that's scripture. Okay. At one point, and God had also told me that morning, he said, your singer is going to open up her mouth and she's going to say something. Let her have the mic. So I had told her that morning, I said, whatever you need to do, do it. Say it. God already spoke to me about it. She said, okay. She opens her mouth and she starts singing this song, every knee will bow, or something like that. Bow down right now, or something. You guys can hear it on the conference page, beredeemed.net/conference. She's singing. And I looked out, and everybody had, like, it was like everybody was out. It was like the Holy Spirit had hit the room, and people were like bowing down. People were crying. It was amazing. It was something so beautiful that I had never seen before. Wow. And even me, God was like, he was like, now he was like, get down on your knees and you repent for not trusting me. You pray, thank me for everything that has happened. So I did. And when I tell you, I've had many encounters with God, this was a first. Okay. So all of this happens, and now it's time for this to end. And everybody leaves, and that Sunday morning, God is telling me, go talk to the pastor. And everybody's saying, like, you can't go talk to the pastor because he's about to preach. You can't talk to a pastor before. So that Sunday I go talk to him. And I feel like I waited forever, but he finally shows up, and I said, I know you got to preach in like 5 minutes, but I have to talk to you. He said, okay, it's cool, Dominique, come in here, let's talk. And I basically just told him everything that God had told me to say. And he was like, oh, okay, it's cool. Your bill is taken care of. I said, what? I just started crying. I couldn't say anything else. So, yes, I hosted my first conference this year. Well, December 9th, 2021. I hosted my first conference, and I did it with no money. I did it with 16 cents in the bank. To my surprise, it had newspaper coverage. It was shouted out on the radio on a gospel station here in Chicago. It was live streamed. And I had asked them, I was like, yeah, how much for live streaming? They was like, oh, it'll probably be an extra $500. I never said yes. I never said no. Next thing I know, I'm being live streamed on the thing. So 33 women probably showed up, but when you look at our numbers on the different channels, we have surpassed 3,000 women. So for my dad, yes, I did finally host that conference for 3,000 women. They may have not been in the space. They were virtual, and it was amazing. Women flew in from some of everywhere. I did finish that book. So I finished it the day that he passed. God had told me, sit down and do not get up until this book is done. So I sat down, and literally 5 minutes after I finished that book, in my dad's hospital room, my dad ended up passing, and I was done with that book. So because of that, I held that book so near and dear to my heart. I have not released it. On Christmas Eve, I heard God say, sit down and do not get up until that book is published on Amazon. So if you go look at it, say, turned in August 28th, but published on Christmas Eve. And to my surprise, it was live on Christmas Day. That never happens. Amazon always takes a long time to publish books. So that book is done. That book does talk about the whole stress of the conference.
So the name of the book, and
yes,
to find it, what's the name of the book again, so they know?
So the name of the book is He Shall Walk Again, the story of Benny Lee Horton Jr. And it's a really great book. I encourage everybody to pick it up. It will make you cry. The story of the conference and how we got there and how it ended is in there. And yeah, that's my testimony. So with all of what I have said on today, I just hope that it encourages somebody. Like, don't listen to the wind. Peter was in that boat. He was walking on water. And when he started hearing the wind, it distracted him. But if you just continue to stay focused and focus on Jesus and just walk and just let God lead you on whatever it is. Because even at the end, I was expecting God to come at the beginning. Okay, meet me here on Thursday, God. God didn't show up until Sunday. But wow. Everything that I needed, God had already solved this. And I just had to get to the end point. So whatever it is that you're going through, I just want to encourage somebody to make sure that you just continue to stay focused and walk. And you got this.
That is, it's an astonishing story. And I know you got so many more stories that we shared on the phone with each other that are just as amazing. But we can get into those later, because this podcast, I feel like it went for about 30 minutes now, which is great. So we can continue on with these conversations if you're okay with that. We can call it not just Testimony Tuesday. It could be Testimony Thursday, Testimony Friday, you name it. It can continue on. And I want to have other guest speakers who can come on and talk about their testimony if they have it. I'm welcome to other conversations as well. You're more than welcome to reach out to me on my social media. Again, I'll be on Facebook at Mark Puente, or MP Marketing is a page that I have, as well as other entrepreneurs like. You put out your information. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Dominique Horton. I am on Facebook. You can follow my TikTok as Business Redeemed. And then my website, beredeemed.net. If anybody is interested in watching the whole conference, it is on my website.
Now, Dominique, your Facebook name, I think, is different, right?
Yes. So my Facebook name is Taistar Horton. It's Taistar Horton, Horton.
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and try and tag the information down wherever this is posted on Facebook, any social media platform that we have. We're trying to offer information to reach out to both of us. This way, if you guys have any questions, concerns, you can leave comments, or you can also just reach out to us via Messenger. And if you have anything else that you would like to say or comment on, you're more than welcome to leave your suggestions. Please be kind and be courteous to your neighbors. We love you guys, and we hope you guys have a blessed day. Thank you for joining us on Testimony Tuesday.